Okay, we talk a lot about the 2020 Democratic challenges, but until recently it was assumed that President Trump would not face a challenge on the Republican side. Well, it turns out he might just have an opponent for the GOP nomination, former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld, and here he is. So, Governor, President Trump, he's cut taxes, he's cut regulations, boosted jobs and incomes, defeated ISIS, put conservative judges on the court. I mean, which part of that record do you think that Republican voters in a primary will want to reject and vote against?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think the president is an economic conservative, and the proof of that is that he hasn't cut spending. I cut spending a lot in Massachusetts. I think the federal government should have a balanced budget requirement, just as all 49 states do, all the states except Vermont, and then we wouldn't have these $2 trillion deficits all the time. And the president has added $8 trillion more to the deficit with his latest budget. So now we're at $30 trillion. That's I think that raises an issue of fairness with the younger generations, the millennials and Gen Xers, who are going to pay for all that. We're not going to pay for it. It's too late for that. So no household could survive that way, not balancing their checkbook. And I don't see why the federal government should either.
But what about the actual outcomes for real people? The fact that the economy, if you just look at the data in terms of how people are experiencing this economy, that's a strong record. Don't you think people will want more of that?
Well, I think, of course, I want more than that. I think an emphasis on aggregate national wealth is one of the chief duties of the chief executive magistrate of the United States. But I don't really think they're being thoughtful in Washington about the future of the economy, the future of work. We're about to lose 15 or 20% of all of our jobs in the coming years because of artificial intelligence and robotics and drones and machine learning and above all, self-driving vehicles. No one's really doing anything about that, and I have a plan, economic plan, to equip those displaced workers with the skill sets they're going to need to get replacement jobs, which are going to be even higher wages. I don't see President Trump or anyone else in Washington, planning ahead for the plight of those displaced workers who you might think of. You might describe them as likely Trump voters, but where's the aid from the president? It's not there.
No, I got it. I hear that's very, very important points. But my question is, well, if you've got a great plan, why don't you take that plan to the White House and say, look, let's all get together and help the people? Aren't we all on the same side?
It's exactly my plan, is to take that plan directly to the White House in November of 2020.
And so what do you think your chances are?
Well, in New Hampshire, and I'm in Manchester now. I've spent the whole week in New Hampshire getting an increasingly good reception. I started the week with the Republican National Committee member, Steve Dupree, on a walking tour of Concord. I went on, met with Governor Chris Sununu the next day. He'd also been at the St. Pat's event in Nashua the previous week. I've gone on to meet with citizens groups, college groups, victims of sexual and domestic abuse. Everybody seems to be ready.
We've got to close it out. Just tell us, what do you think this is? It a bit of a joke, really, is what I'm asking.
45% of the Republican voters in New Hampshire, forget the independents who are allowed to vote in the Republican primary, are open for a primary challenge to President Trump, and that's why we're here.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on it, and do appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much, Governor.
Thanks so much. Okay, bye-bye.
What do we make of it?
Well, good luck. I mean, look, this president is the most popular Republican president since the invention of polling. I think 95% approval within the Republican Party. Basically, every promise Republicans wanted to get accomplished, they've been done. Tax cuts, embassy to Jerusalem, Iran deal canceled, ISIS totally destroyed. Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, 100 circuit court judges, soon to be 150. Has totally survived one of the greatest taxpayer-funded hit jobs in American history at the Mueller report, and that's just the beginning of me listing his accomplishments. So
it's just hilarious. Okay,
good luck.
Quick last word.
You asked him great questions. The odds are stacked against him. Obviously, the RNC released last month a non-binding resolution. Look, we're all sticking with President Trump. Also, his answers on a lot of other questions have been suspect for the Republican Party. Do you believe in changing the Electoral College? I'm not sure yet. His southern border approach has to do with increasing the guest workers program. It's things that don't really don't really resonate as much with the conservative movement. And I will say that his answer about the economics reminds me of when Volvo came out with the 3-point seatbelt. They released it to the world because it was in everyone's great interest. It does not behoove him to hang on to this genius economic plan for the next 2 years if our party needs it to balance the budget.
Fair points. We'll see what happens. But thank you both very much. Thank you to all my guests, and thanks for joining us.